Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. It's finally Friday. Made it through another week. Um, what a week. What a week. Not been a good week for me, let's say. But anyway, you just have to keep going, don't you? Keep going, one foot in front of what else can you do? So I'm here to talk to you guys. That is always a positive. So, what I'm going to talk about in this live stream, oh my God. So, little Preston. Now, I'm always glad of a reason to put Preston's photo up. Little beautiful boy. You know, I love looking at his photos. Obviously, I wish I was looking at his photos in a happier for a happier reason, that he was all over the internet just because he was a beautiful baby, not because of the horrible things that happened to him at the hands of his can't even call them parents, adoptive. They're in the process of adopting Preston, Monster 1 and Monster 2. I don't show their faces. I don't speak their names. I mean, their faces may come up with the articles I'm going to read out to and things like that. I can't help that. But I try not to say their names or to show their photos, except in this way. Monster 1 and Monster 2, with their faces blocked out. Sometimes I show their photos like that. Now Monster 1 is no longer at Wakefield. He's no longer at Monster Mansion. He's been transferred to a high security mental hospital, Rampton. So that's what we're going to look at. Also, he's changed his name, apparently. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, these twonks, should they? Why should he be allowed to change his name? Monster 2 is actually not in Strange Ways. That was what was rumoured in the beginning, but he's actually at Full Sutton prison. It's all very quiet about him. He doesn't, all the histrionics, as you can imagine, are about Monster 1. We just could see that coming, couldn't we, when we saw him at the hospital and the way he was acting. He's a complete drama queen. It's all performative. It's all just like all about him. He doesn't give a shit about Preston. He never gave a shit about Preston. It's all about him. So he will make the most, or he will play every mental health card he possibly can. He will. We just knew that, didn't we, from the beginning? I'm surprised it's took this long to get him to a mental hospital. He will be cushier there than he would be at Wakefield. He'll probably be more protected there than he would have been at the Monster Mansion. So we're going to talk about that anyway. And a little bit, I'm intrigued with Monster 2. Why he's so quiet, or we're not hearing anything about what he's up to or what's happening to him. He's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't he? Monster 1 is like in your face, drama queen, obsessed with himself. Monster 2 is more chilling, in my opinion. But anyway, as I said, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a few things, as always, in my live streams. There'll be a bit of waffle to begin with. I'm going to tell you about, my books, and I'm going to tell you about merchandise and a new thing that I've started doing. So there'll be a bit of waffle about that. If you don't like the waffle, then I will edit the video down later to be waffle free and upload it as a shorter video, and that's what I always do. So you can wait for that, or you can go and, make a cup of tea, have a shower, do whatever, and come back later when I'll have got into the main part of the video. So thank you, first of all, of course. Thank you to everyone who watches, likes, subscribes. I really appreciate all the support you give my channel. We had a great members live last night, so thank you. Special thank you to my members. Special thank you to those of you who buy me a Ko-fi or buy me a coffee. You can do got Kofi and Coffee, PayPal me. There are lots of ways, extra ways you can support my channel if you want to. I keep thinking I'm going to do a video special about that, because I am trying to build the channel, and the more I can build the channel, all your contributions go towards it. And maybe eventually this, because, you know, those of you know me know I do teach Spanish as well, which it's quiet at the moment because it's summertime, so it gives me more time to do videos for my channels. I have 2 channels, of course, but they share the same content. It's a bit of a long story. It's just, anyway, I won't bore you with all that detail. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to both my channels, Vicky Marie Chats and True Crime Chats. And combined, I have over now 8,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for your emails, your comments. There was a lot. I had a lot of I went into hidden comments earlier today. A lot of hidden comments. Honestly, YouTube hide a lot of comments. And then when I get the time to go into the hidden comments, I can normally release them. You know, these are comments. Honestly, sometimes you have no idea why they've gone into hidden comments. Sometimes it's obvious because it might involve swearing or something like that. Other things that go into hidden comments, I have no clue why they go in there. So I try and release them all. I try and respond to all your comments. And of course, I mean, some comments I don't agree with. I don't mind you putting your comments, of course, but I can't like them if I don't agree with them. Yeah, but, you know, all your comments are welcome, as long as they're not offensive, of course, towards me or any of the other chatters. Oh, the dogs come up to say hello. Riley had a haircut yesterday. He looks absolutely stunning. Come on, are you coming up to show everybody what you look like? Haircut Thursday, wasn't it? Absolutely beautiful he looks when he's had a haircut. I'll try and get a photo of him later. So yeah, thank you. Hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Hello, replay crew. Thank you for watching. Come on then, you're coming up to show. Look, you're going to show. Can you show your face? Oh, you can just see his nose. Just see his nose. Let's see if we can see you. There you go. There you go. There he is with his lovely haircut. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. His big ears, big floppy ears. But he's especially cute when he's had a haircut. Oh, so sorry. Distractions as always. Yes, you're beautiful. So where was I? Replay crew. Hi, replay crew. Thank you for watching. So thank you everybody for anything positive you do. You help me with on my channel. I'm going to take the banner off and let's see. Is there anybody in the chat? A special thanks, of course, to those of you joining the chats. Not everybody likes to join in the chat. I understand that. But thanks to those of you who come into the chat. So we had a good chat last night in the members. You know, the chat, it should be a safe place, but always remember, whatever you say in the chat, it is out there in the internet universe, so anybody can see it. So just be careful. Don't give away personal information, because you just never know who's watching, do you? Hey, Kelly. He is adorable, isn't he? He is completely adorable. He's such a little sweetie. He's really stuck to me. I don't think he really likes going for a clip. Oh, he's all right. I mean, he doesn't sort of kick off or anything, but I don't think it's his favourite thing. But he needed it. Oh my God, it seemed like it's been ages since he's had it. And of course in heat, because it's hot, it must feel better now he's had it. I mean, he looks very cute when his hair grows. Looks like a teddy, like Teddy. But he looks, when it's all been taken off, it must feel better. He must feel cooler. He's like a sheep had its fleece shade. Hey, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. So you just I'm trying to talk, and he's like this on my hand, trying to get another cuddle in, aren't you? Right, that's enough cuddles now. I'm doing a live stream. Yeah. So, yeah. So first thing I want to talk about, just now, last night in the members live, we did a little tribute not only to my sister, who sadly passed away this week, but then yesterday Bonnie Tyler passed away. So we did a little tribute in the live stream to Tyler, just an icon of my youth, Total Eclipse of the Heart, all those songs. It's a Heartache, Lost in France, Holding Out, songs, iconic songs of my youth. Not only a lot of people know Bonnie. Bonnie was one of those enduring artists. Her songs, some artists endure even into new generations, don't they? And I think Bonnie Tyler was one of them. So we did a little tribute to her. Anyway, somebody else who sadly passed away today is Anne Widdecombe. For any of you who know, I think, really she's quite a well-known person, not only in the UK, I would imagine. I don't know. For those of you who are outside the UK, you'll let me know. Did you know about, have you heard of Anne Widdecombe? She's certainly a controversial figure. She's a politician, podcaster, and did a bit of everything. But at one point, she was in government. She was a Tory MP. Now, not my favourite person because of, I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but trouble is, people say, oh, don't speak ill of the dead, but I'm not a hypocrite either. I'm not going to say that I thought she was fantastic when, the issue I would always have with Anne is our political views are completely different. But you know what? That's fair enough, isn't it? You can't, people can't, can't tell other people what to think and who they should vote for. You just can debate and hope that they'll come down on the right side. But yeah, Anne Widdecombe, as I say, politically, we probably couldn't be at more opposite ends of the spectrum, especially over Brexit. But I'll always have a respect for Anne Widdecombe for the way she stood up to Mick Philpott. She did a documentary with Mick Philpott, the horrible man. He's in Wakefield, I think, prison, who set fire to his house because he wanted a bigger house, because he was a benefits layabout with about 200 children, and a wife who was totally subservient to him. In fact, he had two wives, didn't he? He kept one of them in a mobile home outside. That's where he used to do the sex thing. He would sort of alternate between the two, and he had all these children. Anyway, he wanted a bigger house, so that him and his wife, May Reid, they plotted to set fire to their house so it'd be destroyed and he could get a bigger house from the council, and killed most of his children in the fire. His poor children. He didn't get them out, didn't even try and get them out, to be honest. The neighbours were trying harder to get these kids out. The neighbours were all traumatised, and Mick didn't give a shit, basically. He said, oh, you can always have more children, can't you? He had nothing else to do except sit around and make children. He had, never worked a day in his life, I don't think. Anyway, so I'll always have a big respect for Anne Widdecombe, because she did a documentary where she really stood up to him. And he's a very nasty, misogynistic man. He was very rude to her, but she stood up to him. She wasn't scared of him. So I'll always have a respect for Anne for that. Yeah, Kelly. I was talking about him on stream the other day because I got left a comment that was supposed to be from Mick Philpott, and it won't be from the real Mick Philpott. But yeah, somebody pretending to be Mick Philpott from Wakefield prison. So I don't actually even know he is in Wakefield prison. Where is he? Where is Mick Philpott. I don't know if we can even know that. Sometimes the Home Office is very secretive about which prison people are in, and other times they're not. So it's quite strange, isn't it? Let's see, is he in Wakefield? But I'd be very, very surprised if he's got YouTube, but you never know. Wakefield. And he was jailed in 2013 for starting a house fire that killed 6 of his children. He was given a minimum term of 15 years. And he become 15 years for killing 6 children. There's something wrong in the UK with sentencing. 16 years. 15 years minimum. So next year he becomes eligible for parole. Could you imagine that? He's killed 6 of his children, and next year, 2027, he becomes eligible for parole. She's out already, his wife. She's already out, May Reid, probably having more children. Did he not get beat up in prison? I think he might have done. Let me just check. Yeah, apparently he was battered in a prison attack, and he was left bruised with lumps on his head. No one has reserved for the children he killed. Let's just have a look at him. See how I go off on a tangent. But these are important things. There he is. So Mick, if you are watching, you're a twat. Okay, you're a twat. A woman twat. Oh my God, you are an absolute twat. So that is why I have got a lot of respect for Anne in that way. To me, Anne is like typical, the British people. What I love about British people is we're eccentric, aren't we? We are eccentric. This is what I've always liked about British people. There's all different types of people. We've always respected each other's views until recently. The thing is, we can't all think the same. I would know I'm a million miles away politically from where Anne Widdecombe is, but I agree with her on some things. There's always some room for common ground, and the way that she stood up to Mick Philpott, because she's not, she's quite a hefty woman, I suppose, or she was. I don't mean that in a horrible way. I'm quite a hefty woman as well. She's not a skinny little thing, but she's not very tall. Do you know what I mean? And he's a nasty man with history of domestic abuse. I mean, he nearly killed his first wife. So I appreciate her for standing up to Mick Philpott and calling him out for exactly what he is. The other thing that I'll always remember about Anne Widdecombe, sort of with affection, is I don't know if you ever saw her on Strictly Come Dancing, but she certainly showed that she doesn't take herself too seriously. She was dancing with Anton Dubek. And that dance where he sort of got a leg and pulled her around the stage, it was just hilarious. Because, she knew she couldn't dance, and it just, so that's pleasure that she's brought to people, and she stood up to Mick Philpott. That's the homage I want to pay to her. I don't like what she did over Brexit and the disrespect she showed the European Parliament, all that kind of thing. No. And then when I was looking into her, though, on Wikipedia, of course, good old Wikipedia. So, she never married, she never had children, and people got, what culture, the media is like, it's like obsessed about whether she'd ever had a relationship or not. And apparently a journalist actually asked her straight out, have you ever had a sexual relationship? And she said, it's nobody else's business, which it isn't. So apparently she did have a relationship when she was at university. She finished it apparently because she wanted to concentrate on her career. But of course, her private life is her private life and nothing to do with anyone. We don't know. I always wondered if maybe she was gay. But as far as I know, she's not even had a gay relationship. So, and it doesn't matter if she's gay or not. I'm just saying that. She looked after her mum for quite a long time when she was ill. And she is an animal lover. So this is something else we've got in common. She's an animal lover. She's got pet cats. She adopted 2 goats at the Buttercup's Goat Sanctuary. And also she has a fondness for foxes, which surprised me because, you know, Nigel Farage, her and Nigel the twonk, they're like, you know, they were best buddies, weren't they, when it came to anti-European sentiment. But of course, he's all for the fox hunting and this, that, and the other. So there you go. Anyway, so she's wrote what's the word? I'm like, articles in newspapers. You know, so she's had what's the word? She's had an interesting life, let's say. She's 78 years old, or when she died yesterday, or this morning it was announced, sorry. Yeah, so rest in peace, Anne, and thanks for your contributions, but especially thank you for standing up to Mick Philpott, the complete tosser, and thank you for Strictly Come Dancing, some of the most entertaining scenes I've ever seen on Strictly Come Dancing. So that's Anne Widdecombe, who died, or it was announced she was died today. Whether she actually died today or not, I don't know. So that's first bit of waffle over with. What else am I going to waffle about before I go on? Yeah, just want to do my housekeeping. Just to let you know, for those of you who don't know, I teach Spanish. I'm a Spanish teacher. This is my other life. These are my books. These are available on every Amazon site all over the world. Break the Language Barrier levels 1 to 5. If you want to learn Spanish at home with explanations in English, easy to follow, internet backup, these are the books for you. The other book that I've got there on Amazon, of course, is the book about my life in Manchester, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher. You can buy that on any Amazon site as well. I think it's available on Kindle and paperback. Thanks to all of you who've bought it. Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, Vicky Riley, available on every Amazon site. And then, of course, as well as being that, I'll just put my Ko-fi banner up. So for my Ko-fi, that is where my merchandise is as well. There's a shop on my Ko-fi page where you can buy mugs, t-shirts. I still haven't done a video about it. I've got to do it. I will. You can buy a bottle of wine. You can buy wine glasses specially engraved. You can buy mugs, t-shirts, all sorts of things to do with Vicky Marie Chats. But also, you know, it helps to my channel. Every contribution helps to keep the channel going and to hopefully put me in a position sooner or later where I can devote more time to the channel and maybe even do it full time. That would be my wish. Also, I'm trying to get a new computer still. So all contributions, I'll gratefully say thank you so much. But of course, just liking, sharing the video, watching the videos, these are the free ways that you can help my channel. Thank thank you so much for commenting as well. The algorithm, all those ways off. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, despite her politics, you know, she was fierce and she was hardworking. She stood up to Mick Philpott. She wasn't could laugh at us like we saw with the strips. So, you know, there's a lot to respect about Anne, whether you agree with her politics or not. So there you go. Yeah, that other comment you put up there, Sarah. Really enjoyed your chat last night, etc. Oh, it's hidden. Do you know this is not me out? YouTube hiding comments. Luckily, when comments get hidden in the live streams, and I can press show the like before I started following the chat on my phone, I wouldn't have known that your comment would have been hidden. So I've pressed show now. It should come up. Should come up. But there's nothing in it that to me suggests that it's not up yet either. Hopefully it will come up. So I just want people to be aware of that. YouTube does hide comments, and sometimes people have got like with me because they think it's me hiding comments. Not me. I only hide comments if they're really offensive, and I can't even remember the last time I actually hid a comment or, you know, booted someone out or put them on timeout even. So we've got to be aware that YouTube, for some unknown reason, they do weird and wonderful things with comments. I'm pressing show on it and it's saying that it's going out, but it still hasn't come up as far as I can see. Has it? Can you see the comment? Can you see your comment on there? The one that you said? Anyway, I'm going to tell people what you said. Morning, Vicky. Really enjoyed your chat last night. I caught it later. It had everything. That was the members' chat I was referring to. I'm going to put it as a pinned message for it just to see if it comes up. Oh, you can see Sarah, but do you see? Anyway, never mind. I don't know what to do about it. I put it as a pinned comment, but I'm going to unpin it now probably. Oh no, it has come up okay now, I think. Just yeah. Okay, so I think I've finished the waffle now. I think I've finished the waffle. There's always something to waffle about. Sometimes, you know, I could waffle. Sometimes I thought about it. What do you all think? Let Michael out of doing one day, doing a whole day stream. Hey, Sean. Hello, Sean. Yeah, it was a comment of Sean's that was 3 days later. I dug it up in comments. It's me because I don't want people thinking I'm ignoring them. So I do pride myself on trying to respond to comments, read comments. You know, one channel it's growing, but still not so big that I can't keep up with all the comments. But when YouTube hides them, you know, it makes me wonder. I think, God, what other ones have I missed and not seen? Because, you know, I just don't know anyway. So just be aware of that. If you think, you know, I've ignored a comment or, you know, please check with me first to see if I have seen it. You know, that's all I would say. The great mysteries of YouTube. So mysterious sometimes. You know, I don't like people thinking I'm ignoring them. I wouldn't dream of it, especially regular watchers, you know, and members. Take great pains to acknowledge my members' comments and that because I appreciate them. So when YouTube does that, it's really irritating. Anyway, can't be helped. You know, if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. So I do appreciate YouTube. I don't want to, you know, at the end of the day, YouTube is a good platform. in general, but there are little idiosyncrasies of YouTube that are just what like people to be aware of, because so that it has where people have got to admit, yeah, just so that people are aware of it. So we're going to talk about what do you think about this? So this horrible man, Killer One of beautiful little Preston Davey. You know, we followed this case, didn't we? We followed the trial from start to finish, and we did get a good result as far as Killer One was concerned, didn't we? Because Killer One of Preston's adoptive dads, I think they're both as bad as each other. I think Killer 2, Monster 2, he was just lucky he wasn't there on the day that actually Preston ended up dying. But I think he was definitely involved in the abuse just himself. You know, he was definitely just as guilty, and very lucky to only receive 20-something years, and he will probably only serve 16 years. Whereas Killer One, Monster One, Mr. Drama Queen, you know, like, Mom, Mom, I want my mom. That was him at the hospital, wasn't it? He's in his mid-30s, in his tartan pajama bottoms and his Jurassic Park top. You know, this really, that tells you more or less everything you need to know about Monster One. He's like a child himself in his head. And everything's about him, isn't it? You know, everything. Oh, Sarah, that's very generous. Thank you. That's very generous, Sarah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Very, very kind. Very kind. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you to Sarah. Such a good contributor to the channel. You know, I'm so lucky with my followers. I do know that. I do appreciate out for the lovely followers that I've got. Thank you so much. That's distracted me now, but in a good way. Thank you. So, yeah, we knew he was a histrionic drama queen after we saw him at the hospital, didn't we? When, you know, the baby's dead. The baby, little Preston, was clearly deceased as they were even taking him to the hospital. He'd been left on the bed. They were hoping that he would recover, hoping he'd bounce back like he had before, because how many times had that little boy been abused? And he'd always bounce back. But this time he didn't bounce back, did he? You know, and they left him on the bed for over an hour, struggling to breathe. And don't forget, the jury got to see that video. We haven't seen it. We don't want to see it. Can you imagine how distressing that was? See that little boy struggling for his breath on the bed. And they're having text messages about the kayak that they're selling and this, that, and the other. You know, just unbelievable. Oh, God. Oh, we've not had a troll for ages, have we? Not had a troll for ages. Oh, dear. You know, some people are just so sad, aren't they? Very sad people who've got nothing better to do in their lives. Nothing better to do than... it actually is quite sad. And funny enough, that's something that I'm going to talk about. The mental health crisis all over the world, isn't there? And that troll then that was just not giving any nothing positive to this world. Do you know what I mean? They're just a waste of space themselves, aren't they? As you say, he's disrespectful to a little baby. He's no better than Killer 1 or Killer 2. You know, they're those sort of people. They'd be like the likely people who do something like this because all they're bothered about is their own pathetic inadequacies and the baby doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Horrible people, horrible people. But anyway, the good thing is we know that they're horrible people because we are nice people. So it's only on the other computer, but it's scary to think that these people are out there in real life, isn't it? Literally are. And like with Preston, how many other Prestons are there? Awful case of these 16 children kept in disgusting conditions over there in America. But there'll be loads more. Do you know what I mean? There's such sort of Fruit Loops out there, horrible things. And spamming, I think spamming on the internet is just one way that they get their pathetic you know what I mean? It's sad, isn't it? That's the best thing you can do in a day, is go on the internet and troll. It's like, what a sad life you must lead. I feel sorry for you, actually. I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you, Trolley, because you need it more than us. So yeah, so we knew this killer one, he's going to explore the mental health card as much as he possibly can, isn't he? We knew that. So we still can't believe he actually managed to become a teacher, a head of year teacher, head of safeguarding at a school. How did that even happen? How did he manage to do that? So he became like a professional person. That's why I got believed, I think, all those times. So this couple, they only had Preston 4 months, and Preston had over 40 injuries. So that's an average of 10 injuries a month. And he was admitted to hospital. That was the 3rd time he was taken to hospital. And it was all ignored. Nobody did anything about it. So somebody needs to be held accountable for that as well. And these men, they only got believed because they're a teacher. The other one's a high-flying sort of sales executive. They were leading this Instagram lifestyle, the detective said. They moved into that massive house after Preston died. Even the house where Preston died, it was like a show home. They were all appearances, wasn't it, with them? Everything was appearances, and little Preston, he was just like a Gucci handbag to them, like just something else to show off and abuse the opportunity that you possibly had. So Monster One went to Wakefield Prison, same prison as Mick Philpott, who we were talking about earlier. And he's been in Wakefield Prison until now. So that might be. Oh, Sean, thank you, Charles, for the. I think you bought me a coffee. It has come up on my phone, but it hasn't come up on here. I think I'm going to have to cancel the buy me a coffee and just stick with the Ko-fi. Yeah, PayPal works better. Yeah, buy me a coffee is not sending me messages. You're right. I think I'm going to take buy me a coffee off. Just stick to Ko-fi. Ko-fi works really well. Buy me a Ko-fi always works. I get instant notification and it comes up in the chat, whereas the PayPal comes up on my phone but doesn't come up in the chat. Oh my God. But anyway, I've received that. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for that Ko-fi or that PayPal. So he's been moved now to Secure Hospital. So do you know what? Can you just imagine what it would have been like in Wakefield Prison? Histrionics. So he was refusing to eat. He'd be terrified to eat because I think people would be putting things in his food, which they probably will. He was terrified to leave the cell. He won't even go out for his exercise because he's terrified someone's going to try and kill him, which they probably will. What's the other? Oh, he was planning to escape, apparently. Well, good luck with that. I mean, it's not unheard of, but I mean, it is a high security prison, Wakefield. And Rampton is a high security mental hospital. Now, the thing about Rampton, where he's been moved to, is it's not only prisoners that are in there. You know, it is a place where if people get sectioned, how can I say, normal people, not always people that have committed crimes, but people who are just struggling mentally, you know, maybe a risk to themselves and maybe to other people as well, get put in Rampton. So it's not only criminals in there, but it'd be cushier. You can bet 100% it'd be cushier in Rampton than it was in Wakefield prison. And the other thing, of course, is now he's changed his name. So he's trying to reduce the, you know, because the thing is, if you go to Rampton Mental Institution, who's likely to have heard of the Preston Davey case? Because they're in there, it's a secure mental institution. I don't know if they'd even be watching the news or whatever. Who would, you know, who would know who he is if he's changed his name? Now, my personal opinion is they shouldn't be allowed to change their names. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. They're allowed to do these criminals. So one, they're allowed to change their name. Shouldn't be allowed. They're allowed to change religion. You know, a lot of people were like Levi Belfield. He's an example, changing his religion to Muslim because they get better. Get better conditions, better food apparently, or whatever. And also, do they then get protected by the Muslim gangs in prison? Anyway, I don't know, but they shouldn't be allowed to do that. If you're not Muslim when you go in, you shouldn't be allowed to change to Muslim, or vice versa. The other thing they're often allowed to do in prison is get married. What? Fuck off. Sorry, excuse my French. Get married. Preston's never going to get married, is he? You know, Preston's never going to get married. Why should, say, Jamie be allowed to get married? Oh, mentioned his name. But you know what I mean? Why should Levi Belfield be allowed to have a civil partnership when his victims, young girls, most of them, they're not going to be able to get married because they're dead. But he's got that right to a civil partnership. Or it's wrong. So first of all, if you put me in charge of prisons, which I'd quite like to be in charge of prisons actually. First of all, no getting married to anybody. Bugger off. You're not getting married. You go into prison, especially for these sort of crimes, and these are big crimes that we're talking about. We're talking about murder. We're not talking about somebody shoplifting. You know, we're not talking about somebody smoking a spliff and getting caught. We're talking about serious crimes, murdering a baby, for God's sake, and abusing them. You know, or like Levi Belfield, a serial killer. So, first of all, no marrying anybody. Bugger off, no marrying. No changing your name. In fact, all those rights that you've got as free human beings, they forfeit those rights, don't they? But it seems like they've still got some of them. All right, they're in prison. But, you know, they are protected in prison. Have you ever noticed a lot of killers, they live into their 80s, don't they? You know, before they finally shuffle off this mortal coil, because they get the best health care. Oh God, they only have to sneeze and the doctor will be there. You know, we all have to just sort of muddle by on our own, don't we? You know, and it's like the NHS is like a postcode lottery, isn't it? Depending on where you live, what treatment you get. Oh, not if you're in prison. You go to prison for murdering a baby or being a serial killer. You've only got a sneeze and the doctor's round there making sure you're okay. Makes me mad. Makes me mad. You know, prison, I'm not in favour of the death penalty. I prefer that they suffer in prison. But I want them to suffer. Not to be able to get married. Not be able to change the name. Not be able to have the life of Riley. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I'm going to put that message up, Sarah. So this is what he's changed his name to. Just so we all know. J. Rob. What the fuck? Sorry. What sort of name is that anyway? Rob. Rob. What? You might as well have put Harry J. PDF. Do you know what I mean? What? Why Rob? Anyway, everybody knows what he's changed his name to, so that's the good news. Everybody knows. In fact, I might start referring to him as that just so that everybody remembers what his name is. Not that they're coming out of prison, but people may go into prison. Say in 5 years from now, somebody may do something and go into the same prison he's in. And when he's introduced to Harry J. Robb, he'll know who it is. So we need to get this name out all over the internet. So his other name is bad enough. Most people know that name, at least now. But we need people to know this name as well. How dare they? How can he be able to change his name? Weird, isn't it? You forfeited all your rights when you went to prison, especially for serious offences. When you go into prison for a serious offence, you shouldn't have the right to change your name or get married or change religion or do any of those things that normal people have got the right to do. Otherwise, what's the point of prison? Anyway, so I just want to talk a little bit before I start looking at Rampton and just so we understand where he's actually been sent. I can just visualize him in prison, can't you? He will have been crying, mum, shouting for his mum. He's probably been vomiting everywhere because he likes good vomit, doesn't he? All his whole life is about vomit. He'll have been sitting in the corner in his cell, sobbing, crying, all those things that we just know that he will have been doing. And that's why he's been sent to Rampton for a second. That won't last long. He looks to me like he quite likes eating, actually. So I wouldn't imagine that'd last very long. But he's frightened of eating because he doesn't know what's going to be in the food that he's given. He's had all these. So he'll have kicked off such a fuss that they'll have said, "Oh God, we better take him to Rampton, get him assessed." And as you say, Kelly, he can't stay there forever. And he's got money in the cities and whole life tariff, so he's got to come out of Rampton soon. Ian Huntley was in there for a while. There's a few high profile. Bev Allitt was in Rampton for a while. So there's quite a few high profile criminals that Rampton's door. And then back into the prison population again, because you can't delay it forever. Like with Ian Huntley, he tried to pretend he was mental, didn't he? He tried that very hard and it didn't work, and he got released into the public, into the general prison population, and he got murdered. I can't say I'm sorry about that. I'd have liked to see him suffer for longer, but anyway. But yeah, killer number 2, it's all very quiet about him. Nobody's really talking about how he's responded. And I think he's in full Sutton, isn't he? Prison. I think he's a very cold and calculating character. I do think he's more dangerous than killer number 1 because he's very calm and chilling. Killer number 1, he's just like an idiot, isn't he? He's just like a dramatic, hissy fit drama queen. You think he's not even trying to be clever, really. He thinks he's clever, but he's actually not, because he just is what he is, and everybody can see what he is. But monster number 2, he's different. I bet he's just going along with everything in prison. He'll end up having a relationship with a prisoner or whatever one, he will. He's probably thinking, well, I've got 16 years, and 16 years, it passes. As you get older, it passes. I think It's not that long, really. And he's younger than Monster One. He's only 30, I think, 30, 31. So he'll be out he'll be about 46, 47 when he comes out, which is plenty of time to still have a good life. So I think he'll be just very acquiescent. He'll just be good behaviour, in my opinion. He'll just be focusing on how he can get through this prison sentence as calmly, quietly as possible and get out as soon as possible. So I think it'll be unlikely that we ever hear anything about him unless it's somebody attacking him. But he'll be keeping a much lower profile, don't you think? Anyway, let me know what you think, but that's how it strikes me. Whereas Monster number one, of course, he's got more to lose because he's on a whole life tariff. So his head's gone completely. He can't believe what's happened to him, can he? Everyone would believe his stories about what happened. He's got away with so much for so many years. It seems like he's been a weirdo ever since he was, they exposing his genitals in class and, doing inappropriate things all his life. But it didn't stop him getting to be a head teacher, head of safeguarding. So he's used to ban people putting their eyes. And that's what he thought would happen in this trial. He probably cannot believe he's been found guilty. And not only that, he's been given a whole life tariff. So his head literally will have gone. And that's not madness. That's just he won't be able to accept what's happened to him. So anyway, they've taken him to Rampton. Let's have a look at Rampton. I'm going to read for you off. Let's have a look at Wikipedia, what it says about Rampton Hospital. I need to put some... I don't know what's going on outside. There's all sorts going on outside the house today. I don't know what. There's always something going on. Rampton Secure Hospital in Nottinghamshire. Just let me make sure it's sharing. Hang on. Yeah. So this is where Monster One is now. So this is Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust. Look. Reminds me of Broadmoor. It is one of the, Broadmoor is another secure, but they've got lovely gardens. That's the entrance, apparently. Yeah. I mean, how is he allowed to go walking in the lovely gardens and things? Anyway, this is here where it is. Let's see, will it? Nottinghamshire in the UK. So that's where Nottinghamshire is, sort of more or less sort of right in the middle, isn't it, of the UK, a bit over to the left. My geography is rubbish. But that's Nottinghamshire and Rampton is there. So that's where he is. Let's see what it says about it. So Rampton Secure Hospital is a high security psychiatric hospital near the village of Woodbeck between Retford and Rampton in Nottinghamshire, England. It is one of 3 high security psychiatric hospitals in England, alongside Ashworth Hospital in Merseyside and Broadmoor Hospital in Berkshire. It is managed by Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust. So in 1899, the Lunacy Commissioners. So this is what, you couldn't call them lunacy commissioners now, could you? These are the old way of, lunatics. Of course, lunatic comes from the Latin word and Spanish word luna, which means the moon. So lunatics were thought to be affected by the moon. I actually believe that. You know, I do think the full moon affects people's mental state. But yeah, that's where the word lunatic comes from, and lunatic asylums they used to be called. Now they're mental health hospitals, aren't they, and things. And of course, we used to before political correctness, etc. We would call people loonies. That's where loonies comes from lunatics. You know, this is just the way it was. I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying that's the way it was. As you say, Sean, it looks like luxury, doesn't? I think he will be in luxury now. Oh, and he'll love that. Just don't forget, he'll have a hissy fit if his cushions aren't plumped up properly. Do you know what I mean? This is a man whose house is like a show home, you know, for his Instagram lifestyle. He'll love Broadmoor, and he'll try his best to stay there because he'll feel safer there as well. Because whereas when he was in Wakefield prison, he's surrounded by all these hard men who are trying to, you know, do away with child abusers. I've absolutely no idea what's going on outside my door, but it's very noisy. Yeah, he'll love it in Rampton in comparison, won't he? He'll be spoilt rotten. He'll be spoilt rotten. And he will try his best to stay there as long as possible. So in 1899, the Lunacy Commissioners decided an additional facility was required as overspill for Broadmoor Asylum in Berkshire. 3 sites were assessed in Nottinghamshire and Woodbeck Farm. I've just got to close my windows because the noise is ridiculous. I don't know, as I say, what's going on. I'm back. Well, it's all good. They're clearing out the sewers by the look of it. But anyway, let me just put the blind down now. So they're either cleaning, I'm not sure if they're cleaning out the sewers or they might be fumigating them, which means we'll get a load of cockroaches later because they'll all be escaping from the sewers. But anyway, it's good what they're doing. So, but there's a great big thing out there clearing out the sewers. So that why do you see how they pick when I'm doing a live though? Do you know what I mean? Honestly, it doesn't matter what time I do a live stream. I can do it first thing in the morning. I can do it this time. I can do it at night. Chaos ensues. It's like the universe says, "Oh, Vicky Marie, she's doing a live stream. Come on, let's conspire against." Oh dear, sorry. Right, let me see where now I've lost my. I was watching the video on here. Let me find it again. So I'm back. So yeah, the Lunacy Commissioners in 1899 decided they needed an additional place. 3 sites were assessed in Nottinghamshire, and Woodbeck Farm was chosen because of its proximity to a large supply of soft water. Hello, Matt GFC. Exactly. You know, this is a big, this has been a big complaint of abuse survivors. So people that have, you know, again, it's something I'd like to look into more at some point. The care system results in more abuse than, you know, Asian grooming gangs, or there's more abuse in the system, and it doesn't get reported the same. If poor little Preston had died as a result of a grooming gang, or some Asian gang, it would have been all over the news. Now, there was very limited coverage of it. There was coverage, but it was limited. And a lot of survivors of abuse in care homes, etc., are speaking out against it. Why is there no fuss made of these systemic failings? It's not, and that is not saying that there shouldn't be a fuss made of the grooming gangs. Of course there should, but it should be equal. It's like because these two men were professionals, British citizens, they're to all intents and purposes respectable. I don't think it's been given the same mainstream media. Social media is covering it, of course, but the mainstream media is not talking about it as much. And I think another reason is because it is unpalatable. Nobody wants to talk about a baby being abused and murdered. I don't want to talk about it. But if we don't talk about it, what do we just pretend that Preston never existed? He existed. He was let down not only by these two horrible men, but everybody. Everybody let Preston down. His own mother, sadly. And I do feel for his mum, but she herself let him down because she couldn't stay off drugs long enough for him to be allowed to be left with her. I don't know what the situation was with his dad. His biological dad, he got let down by everyone, the social workers, even the hospital. They didn't, acknowledge the injuries, 40 injuries in 4 months. The police, everyone who turned a blind eye to what was happening to Preston has got a little bit of responsibility. But of course, the main people that have got the responsibility are Monster 1 and 2. Of course, they're the ones who killed him. But, sometimes not saying anything is just as bad. Bad things happen when good people don't say anything. We saw that in Arthur's case as well. We found out that he'd been taken to other people's houses and made to stand in the corner and not given a drink. And why didn't they say something? Anyway, it makes me mad. Makes me really mad. Yeah, I think you're right, Sarah. I think you're right. I think Peter Sutcliffe was blinded at Broadcliffe, stayed in Broadmoor, didn't he? Didn't he? Was it? I mean, he was. Wasn't he a paranoid schizophrenic? He was hearing voices, or he said he was. I mean, the thing is, what would you do if you were? Hopefully it'll never happen to us. We have to hope we're not going to go and murder somebody or be serial killers. But if you were, what's the best thing to do to get the comfiest conditions possible? Pretend you're mental. Pretend that you're mad. Say you're hearing voices. Ian Huntley tried it for a long time. Tried to make, play. Wasn't he actually even gibbering and, drooling and things like that, because he was trying to make people believe that he was mad. Because he knew he'd get a cozier ride in a mental hospital. But yeah, you still can. Of course, there's different ways. You can get hurt by people because they are mentally ill, not because they're hurting you because of who you are or what you've done. I mean, mentally ill people get psychosis, don't they? And, can be violent. So, but I think 100%, although, it's true that he's always going to be in danger while he's in prison. But, we're in danger in every walk of life, aren't we? You never know what's going to happen if that's just life, isn't it? You are at the mercy of other people as well, even just in life. It's still going to be a cushier life, though, isn't it? He's still going to be having a cushier time in Rampton than he would be in Wakefield prison. He's probably got a nicer room, comfier bed, all those things. Yeah, oh, that was a good film, wasn't it, Sean? One Flew Over the, the Cuckoo's Nest. Is that your predictive text that spell it like that? Don't you just love predictive text? Um, so yeah, One Flew Over a Cuckoo's. Oh, Jack Nicholson, what an actor! What a film that was! All the best films, weren't they, from that era? What's happened to films? It's like I'm turning into a typical old fart now. Everything was better from my era, but films were good, weren't they? And Jack Nicholson, he is a fabulous actor, isn't he? And he can play different parts. Doesn't always play sort of those kind of parts, but he plays those parts the best. That was a brilliant film. So he pretended, didn't he? He was pretending to be mad to try and get a cushier number, So, but one of the best films ever, I think. So, where am I? Where am I? I keep getting distracted. Distracted. I'm terrible, aren't I? I do get distracted, but there you go. That's me. So, 3 sites were assessed, and Woodbeck Farm was chosen because of its proximity to a large supply of soft water, and it was later to give its name to the housing built for staff. Oh God, they live on site. Oh my God. Oh, and don't forget with Broadmoor Hospital, who was given the keys to Broadmoor Hospital? Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile actually given the keys to Broadmoor Hospital. What do you think he might have done at Broadmoor Hospital? This is what I mean about the establishment, and systemic abuse is much worse. Well, they're all bad, but systemic abuse is more prevalent and probably worse and more widespread than grooming gangs. It is giving the keys. Jimmy Savile, he was a DJ, for fuck's sake. They're giving him the keys to a secure mental hospital. I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? Anyway, so it was acquired in 1907. Building began in 1909. And anyway. So apparently Broadmoor revised its discharge policy in the First World War. Oh yeah, they probably released all the people from Broadmoor so they could go and fight in the war. So there were many more beds available. Rampton was no longer needed. So the remaining staff and patients were transferred to Broadmoor, and the Rampton site was temporarily closed in February 1920. Oh my God. Some female patients were transferred to Warwick State Institution from 1923, and female patients who were classified as more hopeful were kept at Rampton for specialised training, and some women were sent into domestic service. Oh my God. In the Second World War, patients contributed to the war effort by knitting hats, gloves and pullovers and growing food. Britain's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy anyway. I mean, and don't forget in Broadmoor, because I've got a friend who she wasn't in Broadmoor, but she ran a care home. And of course, we had a lot of patients were discharged, weren't they, from these type of homes, where they were literally sometimes strapped down to beds. Anyway, the care home that my friend ran, there was some of the people in there had previously been in Broadmoor, and they'd had terrible experiences. Because don't forget, there was a time when people were put in these lunatic asylums. They weren't all with mental health problems. They may have been, vulnerable, like, had not mental health issues, but actually be disabled, mentally disabled. They'd get put in a mental home. That's what they used to do. Even the royal family, they had 2 cousins, weren't they, that were put in a mental home to keep them out of the public spotlight. Nobody wanted to see a disabled person, so they would put them in mental homes. This is a scandal that happened in Britain. And of her, but I don't know what the answer is, because then Mrs. Thatcher came in. She she introduced care in the community, where she got a lot of people out of these sort of homes, but then there was still nothing for them. So then they ended up roaming around, and people were terrified because, you've got, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. You need these secure mental hospitals, of course you do. And people that are experiencing difficulties, psychosis, mental health issues, danger to the public or to themselves, they need to be in these places. But where's the, drawing the line and deciding when they're capable of coming out, or maybe in assisted living or something like that? Mental health issues haven't got better, they've got worse, haven't they? They've got worse since COVID. Young people, nearly all young people have got some sort of mental health issue, even ranging from as mild, if you like, as anxiety to full-blown psychosis. So what is the answer? Because mental health is a condition that you can't see. You can't treat it like you can treat cancer, can you? Anyway, one thing a lot of people do genuinely suffer from mental health issues, of course. But one thing I'm pretty certain about is not Monster One. I don't think he's got any mental health issues, except he's a narcissist, psychopath. But I don't think anything, he'll try every trick in the book. But I think in the end they will find there's nothing wrong with him. But we'll see. I suppose we'll see. Yeah, dementia patients, they can get treated. I think there's a lot more awareness now. I think we're more aware now, but still I don't think it's being dealt with properly. I don't, in some European countries, is it in Holland, they got like special villages, to deal with dementia patients. So they sort of, dementia is such a horrible thing. I know so well through my family, and it gets to a point where they can't look after themselves. So they have to go in some sort of assisted living. Because quite often when my brother had dementia, and my sister, his wife, my sister-in-law, she was trying her best to look after him herself, because she felt it would, she's that generation. She felt it would be shameful to put him in a home. Anyway, he had an accident, or was it she had an accident? So the hospital got involved, and they said to her, your husband needs 24-hour care. We've got a team of 4 people caring for him round the clock, and he's still difficult to look after, and you were trying to do it on your own. So yeah, so many horrible things out there. But anyway, so current services, I think that's what's important. So what we've got to remember, not everybody in this mental hospital is a criminal. So Rampton Hospital houses around 400 patients who have been detained under the Mental Health Act, under the criteria of mental disorder, which is any disorder or disability of mind. It has a staff of about 2,000. It's a lot of people, isn't it? And provides the national services for patients with a learning disability, women and deaf men requiring high security care. Well, I hope they're kept separate from Monster One. It also provides services for men with mental illness and personality disorders. The hospital has an enhanced personality disorder unit, originally opened in 2004 as part of a national pilot for dangerous and severe personality disordered men. So I don't know which part of this, I mean, there's different buildings and facilities. Where will he be? And will he be kept separate from people who are not criminals? So anyway, here's some high profile patients and former patients. Yes, single mothers used to be locked up as well, and their children taken off them, just taken off them, whisked away. That's a terrible scandal that happened, isn't it? Terrible scandal. They're finding all these bodies of babies now. It's horrible. There is a shameful past with the care system, most definitely. Hi, Louise. So, high-profile patients and former patients. Beverly Elliott, serial killer, the nurse, wasn't it, who killed 4 children and attacked 9 others. Ian Ball, attempted kidnapper of Princess Anne in 1974. Charles Bronson, this guy who's still in prison, and why don't they just let him out? Because this is a guy who's never murdered anyone. So you're going to have bloody Monster 2 will be out in 16 years. And Charles Bronson, because he's anti-establishment, they won't let him out even now when he's dying. Notorious British criminal responsible for many assaults, riots, hostage situations and robberies. He's anti-establishment, they won't have that. Now, I don't know this person. Sorry, what's Kelly asking? I feel like deaf people. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Peter Bryan, I don't know of this case. Cannibalistic serial killer who murdered 3 people in London between 1993 and 2004, eating parts of their bodies after killing them. I need to put him on the list. I think we need to find out more about that story, don't we? Not that it's very nice, but I've never heard of him. Anybody know that case? Now, David Carrick, we know him. He's the police, the serial RAPIST, former Metropolitan Police officer, admitted to Rampton following a suicide attempt while he was on remand at Prison Belmarsh. Stephen Sean Griffiths. Now, he's a horrible man. I know that I need to do a video about him at some point. I've got such a long list. So this is the cannibal killer, the crossbow killer. And his case is especially notorious because he was caught on CCTV firing a crossbow into a woman's head and then taking her back. She escaped. You see her coming out of his flat trying to escape, and then he comes out and calmly puts a crossbow in her head and then pulls her back and takes her back into the house and puts 2 fingers up at the camera. So he's the crossbow cannibal. What is this with eating their victims as well? Responsible for at least 3 murders and possibly as many as 11. Ian Huntley was in there at one point. He was detained at the hospital for nearly 2 months after his arrest. Now this will be what's happening with Jamie. Monster 1. He'd be trying on this mental sort of, he'd be trying to pretend he's mad. So he'll get assessed. That's what happened with Huntley, but he was released then. He was transferred to a mainstream prison on remand after being declared to fit to stand trial. I like David Wilson, Sarah. Do like David Wilson. I enjoy his commentary, his analysis of things. Bruce George Peter Lee, one of the most prolific serial killers in UK history. Never heard of him. Responsible for the deaths of 26 people within a 6-year span. Who is he? Has anyone heard of him? One of the most prolific serial killers in UK history. I've got to have a look at that. Why have I never heard of him? Why have I never heard of him? Oh, he changed his name to Bruce Lee by Depot. Anyway, we have to do a video about him at some point. Oh my God, all the, so many cases to cover, so many sick people out there. Thomas McDowell, the murderer of German rabbi Andreas Hinz in North London. Mark Rowntree, spree killer, who in 1976 admitted murdering 4 people in West Yorkshire, never heard of him. Etienne Scanner, stabbed to death 7-year-old girl in Bolton Park in March 2020. And Davidas Skebas, found responsible for the 2022 killing of 9-year-old Lilia Valute, detained indefinitely at Rampton due to being unfit to stand trial. Yeah, so there's no doubt that some of the people in Rampton, they're sort of like famous cases, if you like. But I mean, how is he being kept? Like, is he in a nice comfy room now, do you think? Harry J. Robb. I've got to remember his new name. Do you think he likes Harry Styles? That name that Monster One has changed to Harry J. Robb. Harry, does he like Harry Potter? Probably, because he likes Jurassic Park, doesn't he? Or is it Harry because he likes Harry Styles? Or is it just a popular name? And J will represent his name, because that's what he gets. His name is Jamie, but he gets called J for short, doesn't he? So he couldn't let go of his name completely, could he? Because, he's a narcissist. And then Rob as a surname. Why would you choose Rob? Harry J. Robb. I'm just going to put that in the chat. What do we think of this new name? Because you know what? People do things for a reason. He hasn't just plucked out that name from nowhere. He'll have thought about it. He hasn't just thought, I'm going to call myself Harry. Oh, I think I'll put a J in there, and I'm going to make Rob. He's thought about that name. He's thought about it. He's planned it. Why? So what is Kelly? Rob? Rob is the name of a musician. But, Rob, obviously, its connotation with, stealing. It just seems like a strange name, doesn't it? So, yeah, does he like Harry Styles? Does he like Harry Potter? Where's Harry come from? Maybe it's his granddad's name or his dad's name. We haven't heard anything about his father, have we? Monster One. A lot of talk about his mum. Mum. Because, she, Preston, was at, you want the whole name? The whole name, Kelly, is a reggae musician. Oh, sorry. What? Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. What? Oh, my God, I'm in that parallel universe again. I've never heard of them. I'm not a lover of reggae, to be honest. It's not my favourite music. Harry J. Robinson. Well, this with you. If I was Harry J. Robinson, I'd be bloody annoyed, wouldn't you? Oh my God. If I was this poor guy and I find out that a child killer and PDF who's serving a whole life tariff has changed his name by deed poll to my name, or more or less my name, oh my God, I'd be fuming. Oh, I'd be absolutely fuming, wouldn't you? Can you hear me okay? I think I went off for a minute there. What? This poor guy. So, yeah. Imagine if someone changed their name by default to your name, and not only that, they were a PDF and a child killer. I'd sue him. It does remind me of my son years ago when he was at school and he was going through his teenager phase. I don't know what he did. He did something wrong at school. The thing is, we live in a tiny little village. Everybody knows everybody. All the teachers knew who he was. They know what, it's a tiny school. And the dinner monitors and what have you, they knew people's names. And he did something wrong. I don't know what he was doing. He did go through a naughty phase at school. And the dinner monitor asked, because they give you like a warning, and she asked him for his name, but she knew his name. He said to me, but she's saying she doesn't know my name. She knows my name. So when she asked for his name, he said Bob Marley. What is it about reggae musicians? What is it about reggae musicians that when people are in trouble, they give their names? Oh, so that was me. I had to go into the school again and get told off that, your son, he was asked his name and he said Bob Marley. And I was just like, oh, God, beam me up. It's horrible that when you get called into school, isn't it? It's just, I've been called into school so many times. It's just a relief when they leave school, isn't it? Well, if you've got one who's not behaving like mine wasn't at the time. There were lots of times where he was behaving. He was great at school, but teenage years, everything goes wrong, doesn't it? Everything goes out the window. But yeah, they asked him what his name was, and he said Bob Marley. I suppose these days he'd say, I've forgotten the guy's name already. Harry J. Robb, because Bob Marley's maybe a bit old school now. But it just, listen, things my son got up to, I could write a book about it. Teachers phoning me up and saying, did you sign, because you used to come home with a diary, they come home with their diary, and you're supposed to read it every day, and it tells you how they've behaved that day, or things that have happened, and then you have to sign it. There's a dotted line where you have to sign to say that you've read it. And in the end, one of his teachers phoned me up. He was only young at this time, but he did hate this teacher, and said, did you sign the diary? And he'd signed it. He tried to forge my signature, and he was only about 7. I just like, full marks for ingenuity. But of course, it wasn't my signature. This bloody teacher, he didn't like this teacher at all. My son, and I think probably most kids are the same, he's respond well. There's no half measures with my son. He's still a bit like that in real life, and I suppose maybe I am. I say in real life now, he's an adult. It's black or white. He either liked the teacher or he didn't. He can't, and he had some teachers he loved, and they would say, oh, he's so good, and I get all these glowing reports. And then there were a couple of teachers. This particular one was the main one. Oh, every 5 minutes she was on the phone. Can you call me that we can come and talk about your son? And then when he moved out of her class and moved into the next year, he loved that teacher, and she loved him. And even the teacher from before, when I saw her, she said, oh, he's doing really well now. He's doing really well. I said, yeah. I said, just didn't like you. Anyway, there you go. Do you mean the real Harry J. Robbo? No, you mean Monster One, don't you? Yeah, I think he has got a border personality. Well, I think, to be honest, I don't even think it's borderline. I think he's a complete psychopath, personally. You know, because he could hide beneath a veneer of respectability. But yeah, I haven't seen that video where he says that. I'll look out for that. I do watch David Wilson. I do like his input on things. I'll look out for that. And you know, he knows what he's talking about. He's been studying criminals, you know, all his life. That's his career, isn't it? So yeah. Oh my God. Oh dear. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat now and so there you go. So what do you think? Do you think he will get found like mentally incapable, or do you think it's just a ploy? Personally, I think it's just a ploy. Oh, I've got something else to show you. So this was on Facebook talking about it. So now you're going to see his face here because under his name, because these are, oh, where's that gone? Where did that go? Where did that go? I had that all set up. Where is it? Oh, there you go. So this is something called Behind Bars TV, AI info. Now, I hate AI. This has been created probably by AI, but it's an interesting article. You know, as you know full well, I am not AI. Definitely not. I'd be much more efficient if I was. But yeah, there's a lot of crime channels now that are AI. But anyway, Jamie Varley going to Rampton Secure Hospital and change his name. Let's read it. Assessed for a transfer to Rampton Secure Hospital because he is on hunger strike and his mental health is in decline. But it says he's being assessed. Has he actually gone, or is he being assessed to go? He has changed his name by deed poll. See how they spell the poll there, POLE, to reduce the risk of attack on him. And full details about his move and name change is in the video. Let's have a little look. This is an AI-made YouTube video. So they're making films now with AI actors and stuff. It's quite scary, isn't it? I don't really like it. Why is it now? There you go. I mean, this guy is not an AI character, is he? Oh, I didn't think it'd be that. I'm not. So this is behind. Anyway, Behind Bars TV. I'm not going to play it because he's got quite a strong accent, and I don't like listening to it. But it's probably very good. That's from YouTube, isn't it? But oh my God. Well, there's me feeling proud of my 8,000 subscribers. Oh my God. Yeah, well done. Well done. Okay, I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that video. I'll just show you it. Sorry. If you want to watch the video, you can go onto YouTube and watch this guy. Yeah, this is Behind Bars TV. 151,000 subscribers. Not bad, is it? Not too shabby. Sorry, I'm just looking around there. So I'm going to go in a minute. I've told you more or less what I wanted to tell you. What do you think about it all? I need to put some polls out. Oh, should killers be allowed to change their name? Once they're in, why is he even allowed to change his name? I think that's terrible. To me, convicted killers that are put in prison, they shouldn't be able to change their name. They shouldn't be able to get married or have civil partnerships. They shouldn't be able to change their religion. They shouldn't be able to do any of those things. They forfeited the right to do those things. When he murdered little baby Preston and abused him and all that, he forfeited his right for anything. If he doesn't eat, leave him not to eat. That's say. I think he'll soon end up eating. If he don't want to eat, that's his choice. He had a choice. Preston never had a choice in anything, did he? No choice. He was helpless in these two monsters' care. Helpless, defenseless, no choice. Why does he get a choice? And whether he can change his name or get married or change his religion. And as far as not eating, let him not eat. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't want to eat, good, don't eat then. See how quick he's just doing it for the fuss. He'd do anything for attention. Anything for attention. Poor me, poor Harry. Because it's not poor Jamie now, it's poor Harry. Poor me. Oh, look at all what I'm through. Oh, yeah, I murdered a baby and they abused him practically SHAGGED to death. But yeah, I know I did that, but poor me. But what about me though? Unbelievable. Nobody cares about you. Only your mum cares about you. And to be honest, if I was your mum, I wouldn't be caring about you anymore. Always think you would support your child no matter what they do. And there's a lot of things you could forgive your son, daughter for, but this, maybe you won't forgive them, but you would still support them because at the end of the day, they're your child. But this, what he did to this little baby, I know I couldn't forgive him. I would disown him. And, never thought I'd say that. I've watched some cases and I've thought, I don't really understand why the parents are supporting them, but it is their child, blah, blah, blah. But this, no, you can't support this monster. I would disown him. In fact, I'd be apologising to the world for the fact that I brought somebody up who ended up in this. I would feel guilty myself, absolutely guilty. He is a disgusting creep, Louise. He is. There's nothing worse than what he's done. It's bad to rape someone. It's bad to murder someone. But to do it to a defenseless baby who is in your care, that you applied to have in your care as well, you chose it. There's that degree of callousness. And in 4 months, do you know what? The only thing I feel grateful for is that Preston's not suffering this abuse anymore. If that little boy would have died that day, he'd be in that great big fuck-off mansion that they bought afterwards, being abused just the same. Nobody would be able to hear him crying. There might even be other children that they'd adopted and abused. So poor Preston, sadly, is better off where he is now, because otherwise he'd just be carrying on being abused, because Social services weren't picking up on it. Nobody was picking up on it. So it just would have been, it would be another 2 years of abuse that he would have suffered. Absolutely the worst case I have ever covered. And, the only bit of comfort you get in this case is hoping that maybe it'll change things, which I'm not holding my breath for that, but also that little Preston now, he's up there in heaven. He's getting all these cuddles, all his love. I tell you what, my sister, who passed away on Monday, she'd be giving him a cuddle, that's for sure. If she possibly could, she'd be giving him a cuddle. This is what we have to hope for, that when people pass on into the next realm, little Preston, he'd be getting, I'm going to put a candle up there for Preston, he'd be getting, all the love and tenderness and that he didn't get in this world with them. But at least he got a little bit with his foster parents, didn't he? Thank God for that. But yeah, probably a blessing that he passed away that day, because he would now be just still in that horrible situation, would he? No, because the social services weren't noticing. Horrible, horrible case. There's another message that's been hidden, Sarah, from you. They don't like you at the moment. Last night they were doing it to a couple of the members as well. And she says, I wonder if he'll keep his man bun sun-kissed look. YouTube hid that message. Why? Yeah. Very weird. Okay, now another thing I just want to ask you. So I haven't been covering the Charlie Kirk case. It's the motions hearings or whatever at the moment. And, it is sort of interesting. The alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, and his convoluted lifestyle. But I haven't been covering it because I think everybody's covering it. So it's getting lots of attention as it is. If it comes to a trial, I will cover it. But at the moment, I'm not covering it unless you particularly want me to. Sometimes people just like my take on it, or they like to come on my channel so they can discuss it between, all the chatters. I might do a summary of it when it's all decided whether it's going to trial or not. But at the moment, I'm not planning on covering the Charlie Kirk case unless people really want me to. There's so many cases to cover. I'm still waiting for the Samantha Murphy case, for the trial. That seems to be taking forever. There's lots of what do they call them, motion things, because there's so much evidence in the Samantha Murphy case. That's an Australian case. The mum who went out running on a Sunday morning and just never came home. And there's no body been found, but still somebody has been charged. There's apparently so much evidence. So what's happening at the moment is the judge is deciding, what evidence can be presented and what can't. And it's going on and on and on. And we're all just and God knows how the family feel. We just want that trial to start so we can find out exactly why the police arrested Patrick Owen Stevenson, because we don't know what the evidence, but apparently it's 400 CCTV images as far as I can gather. Anyway, there's loads of evidence, so it's taken a long time to process through it all, and then it has to be decided what can be used, what can't be used. Then the trial starts. So God knows when that's going to start, but we're waiting for it. So okay, I'm going. Thank you so much for watching. Special thank you to Sarah. Sorry, I'm just looking for this to put it up. Thank you so much, Sarah, for a very generous super chat, which seemed to annoy the troll, didn't it? It was after you did that super chat that the troll suddenly appeared. We had a visitation from a troll after Sarah did the super chat. Sometimes those things wind up trolls. A lot of time, trolls are other YouTubers. You know, you'd be surprised. There's other YouTubers, they use different names and they come into your chat and try and disrupt your chat, and they get jealous if you give it a super sticker or a co-op or whatever. I think that's probably what happened there, because just after Sarah very kindly sent that super sticker, we had a little incident with a troll, didn't we? And thank you to Sean, who sent me a PayPal during that live. Thank you so much. But all of you, thank you for watching. Thank you, as always, for caring about Preston. We do care about Preston, don't we? And the updates that I get about either Monster 1 with his new name, Harry J. Robb, or Monster 2. I wonder if he's going to change his name as well, because he's got a very distinctive name, hasn't he? But he's very quiet. I think he will just serve his time quietly. He's chilling, that guy. He's chillingly calm. I think he'll just serve his time, keep his head under the parapet, and he'll be out in 16 years, and 16 years. It's not a lot. Anyway, take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Remember to do something for you, and also remember to press like, subscribe, notification bell. Thank you. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you.